Hello everyone, my name is Luan. I am a Magento developer, and I want to show in this video something that I truly believe should be standard in every Magento project. And for some reason it's not. I'm talking about design system or style guide, whatever. As you can see, we have several components here. These are basically the basic Magento components that we already have in Magento to use. And the idea here is to style all of them globally in order to use them. And the goal here is no more rewriting CSS all over again in some other place. We style something in one way, and in another place you style in another way. We want to avoid this mistake. We want to style everything globally, and if possible, this should be the very first task of your project. Okay, if you already have a ready production website running in live, okay, you can start your design system, your style guide, and you can slowly implement a style guide as new features comes. But I I think you should take in consideration, even if you already has a store running in production, try to implement this and improve your style, okay, your theme process in your project for Magento, okay. Why this is so important? Well, why you should even care about it? Whatever you are building a small Magento site or a large-scale enterprise e-commerce platform, a design system or a style guide brings consistency to your UI, makes your development process faster, improves collaboration between developers and designers, and makes future implementation easier to implement and maintain. Okay, um, think it this way. When you define global components like buttons, forms, typography, and so on, at the very beginning of the project, if possible, you create a visual language that your entire site follows, and consequently, your team follows as well. So, uh, your team will think new features, taking in consideration the visual elements that you already have created in this page. Okay, think in this way. Think how it can save time in future implementations. Another example, let's say I create a global style for buttons. Let's say we created a red button style. Okay, from now on, anywhere a button appears across the store, whether in product pages or checkout page, it will follow this style, the red button. Okay, just for this example, the color of the button, it's actually very simple to change the color by just changing a variable value. But we can do even further. Okay, there are several properties that we can just change a variable value, but you can also do something more sophisticated for buttons, let's say, and we might need to change something inside the library that we have for buttons. Okay, and I'm gonna be showing you an example in the code of what I'm talking about. So, but before that, let's think that we can change in one specific place the styling of the button, and this will change the buttons in the entire store globally. Okay, this is our goal, which means at the end, no more rewriting CSS over and over again in this place, in another place as well. No, we can style just once. That's the goal. And let's say we need to change the button style. Okay, let's say we need to change not just the colors, but also some other custom styling that we have done in the past. Okay, no problem. You can just go to the place where we styled and restyle it. Okay, that's it. This does not just save time, it reduces bugs, enhances maintainability, and creates a better experience for both front-end developers and your design team. Remember I said that once you have this page created, you create a visual language for your site, and you also improve the experience for your collaborators of for the collaborators of your project. So now your front-end team, even your back-end team, can talk better with the design team, with project manager, with the product owner of the team. I can guarantee you this will be the case, okay, once you do this properly. Of course, there is only one downside, which is, well, we have several components here, and to style all of them properly, it takes a little bit of time. I wouldn't say that we can style all of these just in one day. I would say you need at least uh 2 days to be safe, okay, to style all of this. But once you have done all of this, you save too much more time in the future implementations of your store, okay? And why it matters, okay? Well, why all of this matters at the end? Why I'm doing this video? Well, Magento is a powerful platform, but when we talk about front-end theming, things can get messy quickly, unfortunately. Well, most Magento themes don't ship with a proper design system. You end up writing styles in multiple places, targeting too many elements, and struggling to unify the look and feel. I've seen this in the past in some projects that I work with. And yeah, if you didn't care about your code, and if you, well, if you didn't care, things can get worse, fortunately, and disorganize it in your project. So we want to avoid this, right? So you might be a developer watching this video and you already faced this issue. So I understand your pain, my friend. We want to avoid this. We want to convince the project managers, the product owners, and the designers, the developers, we should do this, if possible, at the very beginning of the project. Okay, this is very important. Well, having all that said, I wanted to show you a little bit of code and do a little implementation globally, as I mentioned, in order to show you how we can do this properly. Okay, and let's get started. I'm going to show you by VS, sorry, my PHP storm. Okay, I have well, the first task, the very first task you should do is you should create your module. Okay, in my case, I created a style guide module and I created my controller. So we have to have our page. Okay, we have to have our route to to show this page. Okay, in my case, I created style guide slash style guide slash index. Well, this is very simple in the Magento world, very straightforward. You just need to follow the documentation of how to create a route page. Okay, here I have my controller, and I also have um, my XML file, style guide index XML. And we are adding our PHML file, and inside this PHML file we have our content. So as you can see, this file is quite large, and here's the trick. Okay, so don't worry, I will provide this HTML content somewhere. Maybe I will create some GitHub repository, and well, that's it. but this is the content of that PHTML file. And here's the trick, man. So here we should be putting the Magento global components that we have in order to style them. Okay. For example, here we have our age1 tag. Okay. Which follows this structure, a div with class page title wrapper, and then we have our h1 tag with page title class, and then I span with base class. Okay, if you go to some category, for example, what's new, you can see that this is the exactly structure that we have for Edge 1 in Magento. This is the a standard in Magento, okay? A div, page title wrapper class, and then page title, and so on, okay? You should do this in all of the Magento components inside this style guide page, okay? As I mentioned, I will provide that HTML content for you to help, okay? And the next step is to create our theme and style these global components, okay? How to do this? So let's close our module and let's go to the design folder, which is the place where we should create our new theme. We have the design, front end, and I created my new theme. As you can see, guys, I'm very creative guy. I created this new theme, as you can see, okay? Well, to create a new theme, it's also very straightforward. Just need to follow the documentation of Magento to create a new theme, okay? And then I also added a new logo for my theme that I'm just demonstrating this. By the way, here is the logo. By the way, this is the logo of MageOS, a very cool project in Magento space. And now I have nothing more so far. Let's now add our last files, which are our CSS files at the end, okay, our styling files. And let's do this properly. Okay, let's do this in a way that we can style our components globally. So how can you do this? Well, we have actually a few ways to do this. There is no one single direction to do this. But let me show you what I think is the most effective way to do this. Okay, I want to change the button. Okay, let's change just the button styling. And once we inspect the button, we can see some styles applied. As you can see, we have this last file, buttons.less, and we have several CSS properties over here that we are using. Okay. Once you click here, you can see that this class is just calling this library, lib button primary. Okay. And if you take a look where this lib button lib is defined, you will eventually find this implementation over here. Let me show you. And uh, please take a note of this path that I'm about to show you right now. Most of the components are styled globally over here in Magento. Okay. So go to the lib folder and then web, CSS, source, lib. And now, as you can see, we have several components that Magento already has, okay? In our case, for this example, I'm looking for this one, button.less, okay? And as you can see, we have several libs implemented here. So we can find that lib that I just copied. Here is our lib button primary, okay? And now we can change this implementation, okay? For just, well, this lib actually will just change the primary button. I want to change all of the buttons. Okay, so I have some experience with this file, so I know that the place we should actually do the job is in this lib, okay? Because this lib is injected in every button in Magento. And here I want to add something. I want to add something very simple, okay? Just a small example, but we can go even further in your implementations and do your awesome button styling if you need, okay? But before do this, please take in consideration the variables, okay? As you can see, most of the implementations, most of the values, we can just add something, some new value in our variable, okay? And this will just be enough for us, okay? For example, things like color, um, border radius, hover effect, there are several things that we can just define in the variable scope. For example, as you can see, the color is implemented based on this variable, okay? And let's take a look where this variable comes. Over here, okay, this is the value of the property, and here is the variable that you are looking for, okay? Once you go to some last file in your theme and you change the value of this variable, you are actually changing the value of the entire button lib system that you have in Magento, okay? And for most cases, we can just do this and this will be enough, but there are a few other cases that the variable is not available for our implementation. So I'm going to do an example of this, okay? First of all, we need to change this value. So this is the package. This file is a package that we have in Magento. So we shouldn't change this file in the place that we are open right now. Okay, we have to create our fallback file or our override file. Okay, both are correct. Some people call override, some people call fallback file. Well, to do this, we can just right click over here, copy path reference, path from content routes. Okay, and then let's go to our new theme. Right click, new file, paste, and we just need to remove the very first folder, libry, and that's it. That's the path of our file. And of course, we have to copy the entire implementation that Magento provides us. And okay, now we have our fallback file or overriding file. And let's now add something new, okay? I'm going to change something very, very simple, okay, guys? So let's add text transform lowercase. So in CSS, this property will guarantee that all of the letters are lowercase. Right now we have the property uppercase applied because the very first letter in every button, very first letters in buttons are capitalized, are uppercase. So we want to make sure that all of the letters are lowercase actually. So that's what I'm doing with this property, CSS property. Okay, very simple. We can do even further if you need, of course. And that's it. So let's test this implementation. Um, I'm just running setup upgrade because I didn't configure grant yet. And let's test our implementation. And remember, I'm doing this implementation globally. Okay, if you do this properly, you will save too much time in the future. here you are. It works, guys. As you can see, all of our buttons are have they have the letters, all of them lowercase. Okay. Well, there are several other examples that I would show for you guys, but this is just an entry point, I would say, for this mindset, okay, that I think you should have in your project. And well, that's it. As I mentioned, I think that once you have a design system defined from your design team, and you create this page to implement every styling in your and globally in your store, I think it should take about 2 days or 3 days. But as I mentioned, this will save too much time in the future, okay? And will help your team to have a better experience in all of the new features that we have to implement in the future, okay? That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and that's it. Thank you very much.